Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today you're going to find out why the tiniest Avenger, Ant-Man, may be the secret killer, the sleeper pick for Jean Grey PvP. And we're going to go through my build, I'm going to go through some teams, and I'm going to go through some gameplay so you can see what's going on and what he's bringing to the table. So I'll first just do a really quick rundown of my stats at tier 3 without any sort of team-up bonuses. Now keep in mind that for this to work, tier 3 is recommended absolutely because of his stat bonuses. The tier 3 skill is actually not that good, but the stat bonus is really important because speed types have low base stats, low base HP, low base physical attack in his case. But what's absolutely necessary, what is non-negotiable, he has to be tier 2 because you need the elusive hero passive, and he has to have his end game team suit or this one. You can't substitute any of the other ones because his 5th skill does tremendous damage. Now, I personally prefer the team suit because of the sort of extra effect that's not listed, where you get that guard hit now and then. It's probably never going to save you, but just in the off chance that it ever does, it's there. Now, you can see that mine's only legendary, so I actually haven't built it up yet to mythic, and if you look at the options, I don't have any of them at mythic either, so this build still has a long way to go. But as you can see, we go full defensive with the build. Double dodge, double HP. The last one, when I unlock at mythic, I'm probably going to roll for either crit damage or physical attack to just keep bumping up his physical attack. But right now we're rocking 34,400 physical attack and 41,500 HP, and that HP is important. Now we do have a mixture, so many colors on the Uru here. I do need to clean this up. This is definitely not perfect yet. I probably need to substitute out that one crit damage one in the middle there for more HP. I do want to give him even more HP, and I want to substitute some of those crit rates as well, and I want to get them away because really we just want to make sure that Ant-Man can survive at least one round in between his tier 2 passive, and that's really the key here. So in order to get him to survive long enough to go through 2 rounds of his tier 2 passive, we bumped up his dodge to 71.5%, and I would love to have that capped at 75. You want to get your Ant-Man's dodge as close to the cap as possible. Attack speed is important, HP is very important, but the number one most important stat right away is dodge, because if you don't have the dodge, you're going to die in between, and you might even die during. So with that being said, you obviously want to get him to tier 2 because then you get that 78 or that 87% guaranteed dodge. And what I'm talking about in between, it's a 20-second buff with a 30-second cooldown. So you need to stall for 10 seconds. Now he's got long iframes, about 5 seconds on either this skill or this skill. So you could technically chain 5 and 4, and it could activate at the end of 4 or at the end of 5, and you could be going into your next round of Elusive Hero. 2 rounds of Elusive Hero, which is basically 40 seconds of guaranteed dodge, is basically going to seal the fight for you, and you're going to win, especially in a timeline battle. But in order for that to happen, you have to build him super defensively. So as far as with a team-up bonus goes, this I think is probably one of, if not the best team for Ant-Man. Now, Victorious is giving me the 35% all attack on top of 30% HP for survivability, and then Warwolf is there for the crit damage and the guaranteed crit rate. You could substitute in Coulson if you're fighting a lot of Strifes and Dr. Dooms and Thanoses. You could also sub in Volstagg, but I don't think that's going to be very effective. I also don't think that Ebony Maw is going to be that effective, but you could also try him if you're specifically trying to kill Captain Marvels and Thanoses, but I do think this is the best all-around team. Now, you're going to point out immediately to me that there's no debuff. And that's right, there is no debuff because Ant-Man has dodge. So if you dodge all of their attacks, or 99%, you're never going to get hit by a stun or a snare or a freeze, so you don't have to worry about debuff. That's the beautiful part here. The second thing is, of course, that none of these characters are ever banned, I don't think. Maybe Ant-Man is banned once, I can't even remember, but probably not. Now, before we get into actual timeline battle stuff and I start playing manually and showing you what to do, I want to show you a little bit of hands-off autoplay in something that's pretty close to Conquest. It's actually the Alliance Tournament, and I went out on a limb and I decided to throw Ant-Man into the fire against the other, best teams in Marvel Future Fight. So these are the top 16 alliances. Some of them are more PvP geared, some of them are less. So of course, I'm not necessarily fighting the absolute top dogs for PvP, but That being said, he's won the majority of his fights. So you can see here that I did lose the first one. I'm not going to show that one necessarily because I don't want to run too much time and I don't want this video to be too long, but I will show you my victories so you can see that Ant-Man is able to survive. So obviously if I lost that fight, you know that Ant-Man died, so it's really not that important. But here you'll see on this replay that Ant-Man is actually able to survive. So it's a combination of different things. It's not necessarily Ant-Man carrying the whole team, but it's my Jean Grey, Strife, and Ant-Man versus a Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Strife combo. And again, there's obviously multiple parts going on. I honestly can't tell from this replay whether it's Ant-Man doing the work or whether it's Strife and Jean Grey, but the important part is he's not dying. That's a really big part of it, and that fight was kind of quick, so you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Cynicalex didn't really show much. Well, it happened again, and I'm thankful that this happened. I'm thankful that I was attacked pretty early on in the night so that I can actually introduce this in this video, because otherwise it wouldn't be it wouldn't make it in time. But Noob Master was kind enough to attack me. He failed. They failed, and you're gonna see this replay right here. And I just want you to watch. Well, try to watch the whole thing, I guess. It's kind of a smorgasbord of skills. It's almost impossible to see. It would be nice if they would kind of disable some of the effects, or maybe make them like 50% transparent so we could actually see what's going on, or if there was a way to kind of slow it down. I guess I could re-record this and slow it down for you guys, but I don't know how helpful that would be unless you want a separate video where I try to break this down frame by frame. But Ant-Man, the big part here is Ant-Man is surviving the entire fight. He's already survived more than one trigger of Elusive Hero, and he's there neck and neck with a tier 3 Deadpool and a tier 3 Jean Grey. And he doesn't have an invincibility obelisk, guys. He's got a CTP of destruction, and he survives until the end of the fight. Now, it was Jean Grey's tier 3 skill that won it there for me at the end, so I assume I got pretty lucky in that I built up my tier 3 skill before the enemy's Jean Grey. I'm not discounting luck. Luck is definitely a huge part of that win, but if you take a look at his build, CTP of destruction here, stage 12 Power of Angry Hulk, you got the 6-star, the level 6 skills, you got the 6-star Uru, and then you've got a stage 3 speed enhancement. This is going to be really important as well. Try to get this up to at least rank 2 or 3 because it's going to make it a lot easier to kill those Jean Greys. So now we're going to just dive into some PvP action. We're going to go against some of the top teams here. We're going to make sure that they have a Jean Grey tier 3 because that's what we want. Now, the challenge with Ant-Man, and the thing that you're going to need to accept, is that there's a very good chance Ant-Man is not going to be able to kill everyone on the team. So, if you're trying to set that up for Ant-Man, oh shit, I might be screwed here. If you're trying to set that up for Ant-Man, it's not going to work. But if you want him to take down 1 or 2 characters, especially if one of those characters happens to be Jean Grey, that is definitely doable. Now, a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind for this run. There we go. There is a buff on his 5th skill, and the buff is I'm so scared right now. The buff is I'm dead. Nope. Still, oh yeah, I'm dead. Wow. Okay, so that was not a very good first showing, but like I was trying to get through, the buff on his 5th skill, he's got a 100% increased damage on his 5th skill for the next attack. But I tested it out in the skill preview, and it actually doesn't apply. It doesn't apply once the skill is finished. So for those of you that are wondering, or for those of you that are trying to get a bit more damage out of your Ant-Mans, and you're using his 5th skill and then using another skill after that and thinking that you're getting the damage buff, you're not getting the damage buff unless Ant-Man cancels the skill before it's over. So before the 5th skill is over, you can kind of time it with when Ant-Man jumps off the train. You're going to want to cancel his 5th skill into another skill if you want to get that bonus damage buff. But there we go. Oh, there we go. We got the kill there on Jean Grey after the first kind of bad showing against that was another Jean Grey, I guess. We're in a bit of trouble here, but we're going to try to pop. We've had a lot of trouble with our 5th skill being canceled, but we survived against that Deadpool, and this is the important part, guys. We survived against that Deadpool. We survived in between Elusive Hero, right? There was a point there at the end, because it takes about 20 seconds for me to kill Jean Grey. There's a point there in the middle where Deadpool is attacking me, and I don't have guaranteed dodge. So all I have is my 70% dodge. But with so many PvP characters now building with CTPs of regen and refinements and authorities and all these CTPs, none of them have ignore dodge except for energy. And of course, no one's using energy for PvP. And so you may get unlucky. and you may fight against a team that has a CTP of energy or has an obelisk with ignore dodge on it. That's going to obviously be something that you need to take care of and you need to pay attention to. This is obviously a CTP of regen, but if that's not the case, if that doesn't happen, then as long as you can get a single hit off, and his 4th skill is probably one of the best skills to do that with because you can trigger it from so far away, and it's got really good targeting. I find that his 5th skill gets interrupted a lot more often, and his 5th skill also, if you've played Ant-Man in PvE content, even at tier 2, his 5th skill has a lot of targeting issues. So it'll have issues where, see, it kind of just flies away. I got really lucky there. I'm screwed though now. I'm pretty much dead now. Because I'm not going to be able to survive against this. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to survive against Captain Marvel because she has... because my elusive hero was down, and I should have tried to stall longer against Deadpool. I probably shouldn't have used my 5th skill, but there's definitely different ways to play Ant-Man. I think if you want to be... I mean, this is amazing that I can actually use Ant-Man and win. If you want to be more aggressive with Ant-Man, I would definitely say cycle through 5, 2, and 3, because those skills all have iframes, and those skills all do, you know, respectable damage, and they're kind of good. His 4th skill, it's more difficult because you can't cancel it, but the damage is good, and it's a long iframe if you need to stall. But the problem with the 4th skill that some people don't like is that it eats up a lot more time on his elusive hero passive. So the problem there is if you kill them, but then you're still going through the animation, you will lose that time. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, what? Not dead. Oh, look at all that dodge. Wow. Somehow I survived that. That was crazy. I did not expect to survive that. But I think I'm dead here. Yep. And see, that's basically what it comes down to. So while this may be the best team for Ant-Man specifically, you can obviously tell that this isn't the best team overall. And again, bringing in a team that has, you know, basically only one character that it's actually going to do anything. I'm obviously sacrificing Victorious every single time, but obviously a better team would be something like this, or even something like this, because in that case, when Ant-Man dies, you know, you can still clean it up with another character. We're going to sub in Captain Marvel because I don't want to take too long with Jean Grey if things kind of go south. But if you want to play Ant-Man, let's actually try against Wolverine. If you want to play Ant-Man more aggressively, I would say cycle through 5, 2, and 3, because 2 and 3 have short enough iframes if you're in between his elusive hero passives. But then I think if you want to play a little bit more defensively, especially if you want to stall in between casts of elusive hero, you definitely want to use the 4th skill as well. And this is going to be probably one of the biggest challenges here. We did kill him though, so that's pretty damn amazing. We did get interrupted there, but we're going to be able to kill Jean Grey here. Boom! That 5th skill just does so much damage. Now I think the other really important thing for me to figure out, and I'll have to figure this out at a later date, is... oh, I'm going to die here. Is whether... I'm dead. Oh, dodge! Damn, I was pretty close. That was pretty close. But it's whether or not Ant-Man can... die, please. Wow, really? Alright, there we go. The only other thing that I really want to figure out for Ant-Man specifically is whether or not I can get away with not using a CTP of Destruction. Now, this is something for the build, and this is something that, again, will depend on your playstyle. If you think that you need the CTP of Destruction for that penetration chance to get through someone's invincibility obelisk or to get through, like, skills that they're casting, then definitely use the CTP of Destruction. I think the safest bet is to go with the CTP of Destruction. Absolutely. But keep this in mind. Ant-Man has guard break immunity, and this is part of the thing that makes Ant-Man so sweet. If you're kind of wondering, like, what's going on? How is Ant-Man doing this? Well, he's got a really high damage 5 skill and 4 skill, and they're both long, you know, iframes that are uninterrupted, so that's part of it. But the big part, of course, is the fact that he has the type advantage against Jean Grey, speed type, and he's also got the elusive hero passive. It's really the elusive hero passive that's doing all the work because it protects him, because none of these characters have ignore dodge. None of them have ignore dodge natively on their passive effects or on their abilities, and none of them have it on their gear, i.e. their obelisks or CTPs. But Ant-Man has a lot of other things that really synergize with a PvP build. So for example, he's got guard break immunity on his uniform, and that's really important because you can give him a completely different CTP and he'll still have guard break immunity. You could give him a CTP of refinement. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be good enough to make him survive in between, but if he can stall long enough with a CTP of refinement and my build defensively in between those 20 seconds of elusive hero, that 10-second gap that I'm talking about from 20 to 30, then yeah, this would be the ideal CTP, the the egg would actually be the ideal CTP. Imagine a world in which an Ant-Man with an egg is killing a tier 3 Phoenix. I know, but that's really going to depend on a few things. It's going to depend on whether you can actually kill the Jean Grey in time, whether you have enough damage on your cards and stuff like that, and just the general play. I'm going to end up testing this out with Ant-Man, but I can't switch his CTP right now because I'm in the middle of Alliance tournament, so it's going to have to wait a few days at least. But I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention, not to get you to rush to tier 3 Ant-Man. So pump the brakes here. I maybe should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm not trying to encourage people to tier 3 Ant-Man. We're just on the eve. We're like a week or 10 days away from a new update. Spider-Man is getting 2 new uniforms. He could get a reworked tier 3 skill. He could become the new Jean Grey killer. And I'm sure there's a lot more tier 3 Spider-Mans out there than tier 3 Ant-Mans. However, I do want to bring it to your attention because it proves that this formula works. A speed type with high dodge and iframe skills, and even if they weren't iframe skills necessarily, I mean, if they weren't iframe skills, they would get interrupted by enemy iframes, but Jean Grey doesn't have that many iframes, so it's not as big of a deal. And actually, if his 5th skill, for example, wasn't an iframe, it could make him a lot stronger against Captain Marvel, but that's kind of a theorycraft thing. But the point I'm trying to make is that Ant-Man is representative of what Spider-Man could be and what other speed types could be, so don't, look down on them too much, and maybe give your tier 2 Ant-Man a little bit more love, especially if you invested in his team suit, and maybe he'll do wonders for you in even something like Alliance Conquest for some kind of side PvP action if you're not gonna bring him into the trial by fire timeline stuff. I actually haven't played timeline yet with Ant-Man, so I'm kind of not putting my money where my mouth is. I put him there for Alliance tournament, but it's not the same thing as actually playing. I'm still running this team for actual PvP, but maybe I will do this and I'll see how it goes for 1 round, and I'll let you guys know if I want to keep him there. But I still have work to do on his build, so he's far from perfect for now. So let me know what you guys think of Ant-Man. Let me know if you're inspired to build him now, or if you already have a build, or if you have a better build, or if you've been testing out other CTPs. And there's also the possibility of even an Obelisk being better for him than a CTP because we don't need guard break immunity. So think about that. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you later today. Take care.